everybody, it is Calxiyn and Hunter here. If you guys enjoyed this video, you guys should become patrons over on Patreon to support the channel, but you guys should subscribe. So today we were going to be talking about Salem, because she did some
made a lot
shit.
Yeah, goddamn.
So we kind of had this theory before that Tyrion was supposed to be like the flying monkey, and then
We were
eventually
wrong.
she would monkify him. No, that could still be right.
I mean, I don't know. At this point, you're just searching for metaphors where like they don't even matter anymore.
Maybe. I mean, but here she makes a literal flying monkey. She is making a horde of flying monkeys, which is a very nice callback to Wizard of Oz. So I appreciated that. But now we know that Salem can make and edit Grimm. And I say make because even though she just let that thing climb out of the sludge, it seems like she's making something bigger when she goes like this, like some sort of Fantasia bullshit.
And she controls the sludge, so she has control over it.
So it seems like that she is able to do that.
Because we didn't quite, because in
people thought that Salem could make Grimm, right? Because Crow was like, I've seen the terrible things that she's made, right?
Because at the end of volume 3, people were like, well, I guess she made it. That's before we knew about the dark gods or like the truth about the whole dark god situation.
Yeah. But I think that she can still make it.
So like after that, after the dark god, so it was like iffy. I'm like, well, does she make it or
she
can she just kind of control it? It's not really totally clear.
Because she didn't create the Grimm, but she can create Grimm out of the sludge that makes the Grimm. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Yes. It's sort of like the dark god already had a bunch of eggs. Like all this sludge, those are eggs. And Salem is just cracking the eggs open and making chickens. That's a very bad analogy. But you guys understand what I'm saying, right? It's that the sludge to make the Grimm is already in the ground, and that is what's producing it. The leftovers from the dark god are these darkness pools. But Salem is able to take that and sort of mold it into whatever she wants. And we don't necessarily know the reason for that. It could be because she dived into the dark pool, and so now the Grimm won't hurt her. Maybe it's that anybody could make a Grimm if they stuck their hands in there and actually did it, but nobody's gonna fucking do that because that's fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Like no one's gonna do that. Or, so that's the first thing, is that it could just be because, if anybody else went into that sludge, it would kill them. Right?
Yeah,
I'm assuming. If anybody just jumped in there, I'm guessing it would kill them.
The only reason she made it is because she was immortal.
And so I'm assuming that she's able to just, she could grab it like putty and make it in it whatever she wants, because she's not only immortal, but she went in the dark god pool. Mm-hmm. And so that changed her to an extent. Because the Grimm don't seem to care about her. They don't attack her. Right? They seem to let them pet her. The Grimm was like, oh, what a good boy. What?
She was smiling. She was so happy. And I don't know, between Cinder and Neo and Salem, all these evil, evil bitches, I'm like, I love you all.
But yeah,
you are all my children.
The kind of point of that to me is, I don't know how to explain this correctly necessarily, but it's sort of one of those things where it's like, yeah, she's not necessarily using magic, and that's maybe why she can do it indefinitely. So that's the first theory, is that she can just put her hands in there and make whatever she wants. Because that's just, it's sludge that will form, right, in some way. The other theory is that she's using her magic to do this, and that's why she's waited so long to make this sort of army, because we know that when Osmond gave away most of his magic to the Spring Maidens, he lost a lot of it.
Did he though? Did he say that?
Yeah, he said that I don't have much magic anymore, but we can guess that that's because he gave it all away.
I don't remember that.
Right? Because it seems like when you have the magic, it doesn't disappear, but it seems like Osmond gave a lot of his away. Does that make sense? And so if she's using it to make the Grimm, we don't know whether or not it depletes. And so that's sort of my question, is because...
Well, no,
does Osmond have less magic because he gave away his magic, but he still has... say he gave away 90% of his magic. Does he have that constant 10%, or does that 10% dwindle? I don't think that it dwindles, because that doesn't make any sense with the old world.
I think it produces forever the same amount of magic.
Exactly. And so he gave away 90%, but he still goes back up to that 10 every time, or he keeps that 10. Whereas Salem, she may have 100% of her magic, but I'm thinking, okay, well, why didn't she do this before? So the other theory is maybe she didn't do it before because it does cost magic. And so if she had 100... now she's at 90, then 80, and so it takes magic. But I don't think that it taking magic makes any sense.
My theory with this...
because I feel like in the old world, right, she has the magic from the old world. That's sort of the idea. And so in the old world...
and she was very powerful
why would people run out of magic? Because that's just a part of their being. That's just that. They're just magical people. And so it's not like, oh, well, when you're 80, you can't use magic anymore. Right? And so I feel like that's not why. I feel like that she could have done this the entire time, and it doesn't cost her anything to do it. She just has to go out there and make it. It doesn't cost her magic. Her magic doesn't dwindle. The only reason Osmond's magic dwindled was because he gave it away. And if he didn't, he would still have 100% of his magic for the entire run of his existence. You know what I mean? And so the question sort of becomes, okay, well, why didn't you do it before then? And I think it has to do with strategy. I think if you just make a giant horde of Grimm every time, first of all, that takes a lot of work, right? She has to go out there and do it.
Yes.
And so if you're gonna do all this work and just do it all the time, first of all, you're gonna get tired, even if you're immortal. And so it's a calculated plan. Watts and Tyrion are going to Atlas, right? She's making this horde of Grimm to go to Atlas. Like, she's not just willy-nilly making giant Grimm to destroy the world. Like, that's just not viable as a plan. And so it's about strategy, I think. And we don't know if she's never done this before, right?
Because here's the thing, because she talked
Mountain
about, like...
Glen fell for some reason.
Because, like, divided, because, like, together they're formidable. So maybe, like, as a group in the past, they've survived massive Grimm attacks. And so she's like,
but now Atlas is closed off, right?
Yeah.
That was the whole
plan. But then
plan.
the idea is
if
that, like,
Atlas
divided...
opens up the border, like, that's the whole problem, right?
But it's the idea that, like, well, divided, they can be destroyed. So maybe now she wants to divide them, then she starts doing what she used to do, which is send massive attacks.
But I'm saying that, remember before, Salem was just like, well, if Atlas, like, lets in Vacuo, we're fucking done. Like, our plan's over. She said something like that. They were just like,
mentioned
if
stuff about
Ironwood
them
comes
dividing.
if Ironwood comes to his senses, we're screwed. She basically said something like that a couple episodes ago, right? Okay. And so their hope is that Ironwood doesn't come to his senses, right? Like, that's the whole hope, is that Atlas stays with what they're doing right now. And so I feel like that sort of idea, it's like, I know that what you're talking about, like she said that humanity divided is better, but in this case it's like, no, she's like, if Atlas opens up their borders, we're all screwed. And so it's about strategy, it's about her waiting to do this. And I'm sure she's made giant Grimm before, like, the thing at Mountain Glen happened, and we don't have a lot of info on it, but she could have done that. Like, wasn't that
Merlot that did that?
Well, they could have helped. Like, Merlot was somehow a part of the series or something. Like, he's somehow a part of the show. You know what I mean? Like, they said that his role is canon, so who's to say that he didn't work with Salem at some point, right? Because if Salem makes Grimm for him to experiment on, that's sort of perfect, in a way. Right? Because then Salem gets better Grimm, but she could have helped. Like, she could have fucking, you know what I mean? So it's not like, we've never seen her do it before in the time that we've seen the show, but remember, by the time we saw the show, they already had a plan, right? They already had a brand new plan, and we don't know if the Grimm that attacked Haven either, or the Grimm that attacked Beacon, we don't know if those were all natural Grimm. Like, some of them could have been attracted to the area because they heard everybody's negativity or whatever.
Well, that's
sort of what happened.
Rewatching Volume 3, they make it very clear that this is why it happened.
But it could have also been Salem just planted a couple more Grimm over there, you know, so they'd be attracted, you know, just
here's
some Grimm on the map.
my theory on why she didn't do this earlier. Is because remember when she first crawled out of, like, the pit?
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't have those veins in herself.
So she's just been getting...
So I feel like maybe she's been, like, experimenting almost on herself so she'd be able to. So it's not about she just didn't think to at the time. It was about she wasn't able to yet, that she had to work.
Yeah.
And so
I
she's
can
like,
see it being hard.
now I'm ready. And then maybe she sent the first wave out after she spent, like, years making a super big...
Here's the other
army... Making a super big army, then maybe it failed and, like, okay, now I need to divide them, and then I can send my monsters in. Because you get the idea that she kind of prefers her monsters over her humans.
I guess.
You feel me?
But it's not just about that. I think it's also, like, only the Dark God could make the Grimm, as far as we know.
Yeah, so
she has gained powers that were on the level of sort of one of the gods.
And I feel like that's her experimenting on herself.
Well,
so she
I don't care about that, Hunter. That's not the point. It's supposed to be...
Point?
It's like... I don't want to say it's a metaphorical in some way.
She's becoming more like the Dark God.
No. It's not that, but it's like she wanted to be more powerful than the gods. She told people that she could be more powerful than the gods, right? Because she was immortal, and now she sort of has gained the power. Like, she probably thinks of herself. Remember how she was like, oh, like, Ozma, like, we can be the gods of this new world, right? She literally is having some of the powers that the Dark God had before, and that was to make the Grimm. Obviously, she can't seem to make the sludge out of thin air, but she can mold and change it. And that's enough, right? Like, I feel like that's basically the same thing. Like, the Dark God made the pools, but he still probably pulled some Grimm out of there from time to time and made some freaky shit. So, I feel like that, I don't care about her experimenting on herself. Like, that's not the important part. The important part is sort of, like, even though that's an interesting idea, it's sort of the idea that, like, she has worked all of this time to sort of gain, like, some more godly powers. Like, she just can't let that part go, if that makes sense. Like, sort of, I want to be stronger than the gods. And so she's literally trying to be strong. Like, she's literally doing what the Dark God was probably doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, I really do look forward to learning more about it. I mean, we've learned, you realize we've learned so much about Salem, and yet there's still so much we haven't learned.
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
But yeah, this is basically it for this week, I think, unless Hunter and I see something in RWBY Rewind and we're like, oh. But like, this is like our last like real video during the RWBY season. All of our other videos will be after and sort of discussing things post-mortem, I guess.
That implies we die.
No, not that we die. The show is
dies.
Over. It's on hiatus.
Anyway.
You know what I mean?
Mortem means, I'm pretty sure.
I know, when I'm saying that, the show is over. The season is over. The season has died.
The season is dead. That's a little, like that. Implications. Anyways.
Bye. I don't have anything else to say. Anyway, I will see you guys later. Bye, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys want to support the channel, you guys should be patrons just like our wonderful patrons whose names will come on the screen now. $10 patrons get videos sometimes 2 weeks in advance, sometimes 3 weeks in advance, basically much earlier than anyone else. They can also request us to do a video for them, so this could be a reaction, a theory, a discussion, anything like that. Our $5 patrons get a week in advance early access, or somewhere within that time frame, so between 2 days early and 7 days early, basically, but usually it's 7 days early, because I'm good with my scheduling. Anyway, our $1 patrons and all of our patrons above the $1 tier get access to our Discord server, so if you guys want to talk with us, talk with other fans of whatever you're watching right now, you guys can, and I hope that we will see you there. Bye.